Separatism never has been and is not now the major driving force of black colleges. Clearly, these schools were not the evil the Brown decision sought to eradicate. They were the product, not the cause, of the evil identified in Brown, that is, the exclusion of black students from white institutions. To pursue the desegregation process as if the black colleges have perpetuated segregation is to stand the mandate of Brown on its head. Even the federal court, when striking down the dual systems in higher education, Adams versus Califano, noted that, quote, the process of desegregation must not place a greater burden on black institutions or black students' opportunity to receive a quality public higher education, end of quote. Take black colleges out of the picture and we will lose 50% of all blacks who graduate every year from college. Afro-Americans couldn't afford, no, America couldn't afford it.
Mr. President, you have been very supportive of black colleges. You've issued an executive order. You recommended a $9.3 million increase in the budget, higher education budget for these schools. There are people in this country, however, who believe, seriously believe, black and white, that black people cannot learn unless they're with white people.
Yeah, I think that that was described best by the black state superintendent of education of the state of California, my good friend Wilson Riles, when he said this idea that a black child can't learn unless they're sitting between two white kids is demeaning and humiliating, and I think he's absolutely right. The black colleges, I know it sounds inconsistent. We should be saying, well, if we're talking about non-segregation in the other colleges and universities, why should we be specifically helping these? Well, in the first place, the black colleges do not restrict. White students are permitted to enter there if they want, but they are predominantly black. But there is a very rich heritage. There is a symbolism in them, and the contribution that they have made, not only to the blacks who've graduated, but to the whole of society, the people that have come out of them. I think it is well worthwhile in our government helping those colleges.
Poll results you saw at the beginning of the program in which 100% of the sample thought black colleges to be segregationist. Take a look at the results after they heard a case for the black colleges. We're asking you if you support the existence of predominantly black colleges. We know that in the beginning 42% supported the existence and now 60% support the existence. There has also been a drastic change in the policy of the Reagan administration toward black colleges, in part brought about by Black College Day.
That we have to make sure that there is financial support for the black colleges, and we have to make sure that the zealous demons of the Department of Education are not doing things in the, you know, there's nothing worse than a person who goes out to do good works to you. And we want to make sure that the Department of Education, in their zeal to carry out all their regulatory powers and find a few more to tack on to justify their existence, where there's very little justification, that they don't get involved.
Salam, editor of the Black Collegian, the country's foremost black student publication, described this historic event, quote, the struggle to save black colleges, which is essentially a century-old effort of securing an education in our own self-interest as a people, raised itself to a higher level of solidarity and success on the second to the last day of September 1980. September 29, 1980, Black College Day 80, was a day of beautiful and serious reaffirmation of black will and ability to face the opposition squarely. When march time came, he continued, the verdict was handed in. Over 20,000 pairs of marching feet slammed against the D.C. concrete to deliver a message, to answer a challenge, and to affirm the critical importance of black colleges in our people's future. But if you were there, Salam said, pressed shoulder to shoulder with chanting students, cheering the rousing and uncharacteristically short speeches, hugging friends you hadn't seen in months or maybe years, if you were there, arriving bone-tired but still very much up for the march after a long 10 to 20-hour drive from some small-town campus, if you had been there, hearing the marching bands and feeling the boom of the bass drums massaging your heart as the band waded through the portion of the crowd where you stood swaying to the beat, if you had been there shouting out when your school's name was called or your campus queen stepped smiling to the mic, if you had been there fueled by faith and small change finances collected at the last minute, if you had been there, you would know, and no one would be able to tell you differently. A primary appeal of black colleges and universities is their tradition. The marching bands at these schools are linchpins in more than a century of pride to blacks who attended them, and a source of hope to black families who want the benefits of higher learning for their children. Some of the best marching bands in the country came to Black College Day.